All right, for this tutorial here, we're going to create a short animation. Now, it's really important that we keep everything located at this center point because we are going to do some arrays and curve modifiers as well as animations along that curve. And in order to keep it all working the same, they all need to be oriented around this central point here. So to start off with, we're just going to make our minecart. So this is going to be a minecart track. And there's going to be a few parts to this. So first we're going to make the minecart and the track. So the minecart's going to be pretty simple. I'm going to tab into this. I might actually rename some of these things this time. So this is going to be the minecart. And I'm going to grab this. Now notice I'm in edit mode. I don't want to scale things anymore outside of edit mode. If I do scale things here, I need to make sure I go object, apply, rotation and scale. Or at least scale if I haven't rotated it. So I'll go into here. I'm going to pull this a little bit this way. I'm going to inset this top bit and extrude that downwards. Now with these top faces here, I'm going to grab these four and scale them outwards a bit. Okay, so I get that minecart looking thing there. Now when I go out of it, I'm going to put a modifier on this. I'm going to put a bevel modifier on it. Not that much though. I'm going to turn the width down. Just like that, just so it looks a lot nicer. Okay, so that's done. We don't actually need wheels on this because we're going to make the animation from inside the minecart, so we don't need to worry about having the wheels because we'll never see them. Okay, now I'm just going to select everything in edit mode and pull it up a little bit. That leaves the active point of that still there. I'm going to just move that to another layer for now. Move that over there. And go back to this layer here. I'm going to add a mesh. I'm going to add a cube again, and we'll go into edit mode for this one here. So I'm going to scale this cube along the Z axis like that, pretty small, and then scale it along the X axis. That's another thing, just quickly, I'm going to go back to this and edit this. I'm going to rotate the entire thing 90 degrees. Because I want the X axis to be forward. And I'll just hide that layer and bring back the first one. Okay, so I want the X axis to be forward. So with this here, yeah, that's good. I'm going to apply an array modifier. Actually, I might just apply, I'll go into tab, a ring cut to this. And that will do. And then go to here, an array modifier, and I'm going to set this to 3, but I'm going to turn the offset upwards like that. I might actually set it to 5. I'm going to turn the offset upwards, and I think I'll set it to, let's see, nah, actually, I'll just leave that because I just want to have one bit of rail here. So we'll go back into edit mode and I will put another ring cut here and one here. Now in face mode, I think I'll select that there. Oops. So that entire ring, and I'll move it that way a bit more. And then if I can't seem to select them, I'll just rotate around. There's only 4 faces and move them that way more. This part's pretty easy. I'm going to extrude this up and I'm going to extrude this up the same amount. Oh, actually it doesn't really matter, just as long as it's visually pretty much spot on. And then extrude these that way and extrude these that way. Okay, so if I go back to this object, if I then use my array count, oops, I don't want that, I want that to be set to 1. Okay, so my array count, if I turn that up, I get those tracks there. Now I'm going to actually go in and edit it a little bit because I want these to be closer. So I'm going to bring those 2 points back and these 2 points back as well. So I get closer tracks here. Also, I'm going to put an extra ring cut here, an extra ring cut there, an extra ring cut there, an extra ring cut there. That's going to help it when it bends, and also an extra two ring cuts on there. Okay, because there's going to be bends in this track, we want that to be able to move and change. Now, if I just bring my minecart back in, and I'll bring the other one back in as well, it looks like that's pretty good. I'm not sure why the minecart is in a different location, so we might just move that to the right a little bit, and that's better. Okay, and I can probably move it up, and I'll scale the minecart. Oops, no. Oh yeah, I'm in edit mode here, so I will scale it down a little bit and sit it just on those tracks, just like that. That looks pretty good. Making sure that in edit mode, I should be able to click between those two, and that point there stays the same. Okay, so I've got a minecart, I've got some tracks. Now I need to build a tunnel segment, and I'm just going to move this to that layer over there as well. Oops, it's already on that layer. Move this to that layer there, and go back to here, so there's nothing there. And I'm going to add a mesh, a plane. Okay, so I'll tab into this, and I'm going to bring these edges up. I'm going to extrude them up and hit Z as I extrude. And I might subdivide that side and subdivide that side. Select those two and scale them outwards, just along the Y-axis. And then select this edge and hit F. So that's going to put a face there. Just so I've got some variety, I'm going to grab that there. So ring select that and pull that along there. Keeping in mind that's the active point still there, even though I've changed it out here. So with this here, we're going to make some modifications to it. What I need to do is I need to go into sculpt mode, but first I'm going to have to subdivide this a bunch of times. So I'll go into edit mode, select everything, and subdivide, subdivide, and one more time. Okay, so I've got 400 or that might be a bit too many subdivisions there. I might just do some ring cuts there so I don't get the extra subdivisions. Okay, so instead of 400 vertices, I've only got 200 now on this model. And we'll go to sculpt mode. And in sculpt mode, I'm going to unlock the symmetry, but I am going to lock the X. Okay, what that means is I don't want it moving along the X axis. Also, I do want to mirror on the X. Okay, so whatever happens on... Why is that not going over there? Oh, okay. That's because the X-axis is there. That's all right. I don't want to mirror it. I'm not going to worry about mirroring it. I do want to lock it, though, so that the sides here are flat on both, so I don't get any movement that way. Y is... I'll probably lock it on the Y as well. No, I don't want to lock it on the Y. That's all good. We're going to mirror it anyway, so the sides are the same, but we want the X-axis to be so that it can join up with it. We don't want it overlapping. So with that, I'm just going to go through here and modify this. I can modify it quite heavily, knowing that that X-axis is locked. If I go into 7 and hit orthogonal view, you'll see that even though the Y has changed, this line is still the same because it's locked to that X-axis. So I'll go into here and we'll just modify this quite a bit. I will get dark parts there because I've got the normals are facing inwards, which is where our model is going to be. So I'm going to smooth all this out inside. And I'm going to try and keep the ground pretty stable. Okay, so the tracks don't run through it, but the roof, the ceiling we can bring in. Okay, so these are part of a cave. Now what I'm going to do here is go into object mode. object mode, and add a mirror modifier to it. Where's mirror? There's mirror. And I'm going to mirror it along the x-axis, which means I'm going to need to tab into it, select everything, and bring it back to there. Now I want to hit clipping so that I can do that and get it working. And then I'll hit apply. Oops, cannot be applied in edit mode. Apply. And I'm just going to fix up this bit around the middle in sculpt mode, but I do not want to touch the edges now because they are perfectly matched one to the other. So in the middle here, oops, I'll just undo that a bit. I went too far down. These points here, I just want to smooth out so that it's not so obvious whenever I'm running through it. Okay, and I can grab some of these points and move them around, but I do not want to go anywhere up these ends. Okay, so there's my tunnel component. Because it's got a good number of vertices on it and a good number of horizontal vertical ring cuts, it should be able to bend with the scene without a problem. Okay. So with that in mind, I'm going to select that. Oops, I'll be in object mode for that. Hit M and move it to that layer over there. So now I'm still working on this layer. And here's the part that's going to bring it all together. I'm going to add in, actually we'll do that on the next one. So we've got all our models. We've got them here. It looks like I might need to scale this tunnel up. So I'll go into edit mode, select everything and scale it up and bring it up there. Okay, and that actually looks like a good size now. Now there's actually no supports in this here. So what I could do is, and I'll add them in here. I'll add them as a cube. Gets added there. And I'll bring this cube over here. Now this cube is separate, even though it's part of this model. Okay, so I'm going to bring that in there. And I could do this separate. I might actually do it separate. So I'll hit P and separate by loose parts. And I'll just work with this separately for the time being. So for this, I will bring that up there and then extrude it up a little bit more and then extrude it across and then extrude it a little bit more and then extrude it downwards like that. And I'll turn the visible selection off. 1, 3. And select these and scale them. Oops, I don't want that bottom one selected. Scale them inwards, just along that y-axis, like that. And then I'll just add a modifier, an array modifier to it, maybe 5, and I'll offset it down that hallway. I'll leave the last one, I'll leave a bit of a gap with that last one so that it doesn't look too continuous. Okay, so, and then I'll click apply and that's that part done. So now I've got some supports in there. I've got my minecart, I've got my rails, and it's time to add a curve to it. So we'll do that in the next video. I'm going to save this here. I'm going to save it as, I'm not going to save it there. I'll save it as minecart minecart.blend. Save Blender file.